Well, we can slowly start to get into it here. Um, we can even skip the basic introductions. Hopefully, everyone knows the team up here. You got, me, Vu, my co-founder Doc, Monkey, and Cripsom in operations. And we are ready to talk about some changes we've been making to the protocol and things we've been doing in this bear market. I actually had an opportunity to talk to Obsidian Council recently about what different protocols we're doing to survive in the bear market. And we had some concerns and have been discussing amongst the team for a while. What to do as we saw the price trajectory not going in the direction we wanted, and really most importantly, the system not able to do what matters most. We have a vision to peg to gold using a seniorage model and have that provide yield to our participants. Um, so we wanted to look at what could we do to make that more realistic. And one suggestion that had came early on in the protocol that hadn't been addressed much recently was changing the peg. And a few people had said like you could be 1/100th of a PAX G or 1/1000th of a PAX G or something like that. Make it a more affordable token to everyone. And I found it not a great idea to be a random amount. I thought that took away from what the protocol was representing 1 ounce of gold. We believe there's a happy medium that can bring some the same spirit and purpose that the ecosystem set out to establish, but also make the price point more accessible for different people across DeFi. And as we looked at it, we thought about what if we transitioned from pegging to a full PAX G to 1 gram of gold instead of 1 ounce of gold via fractionalized PAX G peg. And when we started looking at the math and just the numbers we were at, and this is just over the last couple of weeks, we realized that would put us extremely close to it, and right at the point where we would be a printing functioning ecosystem, meaning that we can immediately see value in our share GoldMint tokens by having the mint printing GoldMint tokens. And those of us who've held GoldMint can see value increase in the vaults once the share GoldMint kind of catches on that it's going to be part of a printing and healthy ecosystem. So we think we found the best of both worlds, a way to maintain the spirit and purpose of this protocol, which is, to achieve a gold peg and provide yield, and maybe do that in a more accessible manner versus a more reasonably priced peg. We did know that that price point, of an ounce of gold was many times over, several factors over what other models were trying to do. And it seems like if we pick a number that's a little bit more in line with what we're looking at, and we've done some of this math from our work on Silvermint and things like that too, on what kind of price matters to people. So I think that was the best thing that we were able to do for the system. And we're excited to share a little bit more about how and when we're going to do that this evening. So we were able to talk to our developer, and they do believe it can be done without any major changes to the protocol. We already had some questions in the chat. Does this mean that the number of tokens that are out there are going to change, or something going to happen in my wallet, or is the price going to change in the liquidity pools? It's going to be set up so none of that happens. Exactly the change that we're going to make is by adjusting the Oracle contract, which is part of this. For those who don't look at the contracts too deep, the Oracle decides kind of what price matters and how the protocol is doing in relation to the price that it seeks. So we're going to be able to modify that to call a fraction of a PAX G to be set at 1 gram of gold instead of 1 ounce of gold. And then when our token is achieving that price point, we will print GoldMint via the mint, and we'll have a share GoldMint token that's healthy and robust. And you guys know we have some additional value coming to these tokens with Silvermint too. But it was a way to have a healthy and lively functioning seniorage model right away. Instead of having, an uphill battle that seemed to not be able to be climbed out of. So we thought it would be great to finally see that kind of yield brought to the system, which again was the reason we existed, was to pay to gold and bring yield. So we're ready to deliver that to our community.
Yeah, well said. There's been a lot of thought put into this, and realize, especially with what Vu said, like we've realized lots of, I guess there is a little bit of, like, mathematics and stuff that go behind it, and kind of seen that, especially with like the current price and the current circulating supply versus what we would like to achieve, and what we're aiming to achieve with Silver Mint, and like what we've seen from other protocols, and yeah, it's kind of lined up nicely in a way that this is just like a great time to make this change and make this push, that it'll all kind of work together to help bring and drive that momentum and more hype back to the protocol. Because lots of people, I don't know, I feel like we would have had a lot more participation if we were, I guess, closer to peg or didn't have so much of an uphill battle towards the beginning. Even though lots of people seen lots of gain off of that, or it was very good for them, but um, I feel like now it may be more interesting and more appealing for new people to want to come in. So I'm excited.
Yeah, it allows that sustainability that we sought. There were some unsustainable peaks where the system did achieve that, but just as we've been watching over the last several months, we've realized that it was not sustainable at that price point, and that this change would be an easy way not to take from anyone or change anything that our current holders have, but allow the system to read that what they had is a robust and good value by being pegged to a gram of gold, which I believe our token right now is trading around like 57 or 58 US dollars. I think a gram of gold is worth around $55. So that puts us, I mean, almost right there at exactly just above the anticipated peg. So you guys can see how this kind of transforms GoldMint itself into a healthy ecosystem. And then this is simultaneous with us, being just about to roll out Silvermint, and those GoldMint tokens and share GoldMint tokens being useful there. So you're going to find that the tokens you have now and the tokens that you'll be gaining from your participation in Silvermint, are going to have be able to be immediately deployed in whatever way you see fit to acquire yield in the ecosystem. And then we have a third step of a like peg health campaign, similar to what Grape and Ames Alto have done some other protocols where if we do have issues maintaining our new peg prices, that we're able to kind of deploy that to protect the peg. So we think the change of the peg, the silver mint incentives, and then the incentives, grown in gold mint, combined with that factor, are really going to give everyone a great reason to stay in the system and participate and kind of find that yield that they've been looking for all along. It's finally going to be time to open up the full GoldMint D app. And, when you go out there, there's going to be robust rewards in different parts of the protocol, and you're going to have your choice of how you want to participate. And it's going to be great to see. I can't wait.
Yeah, I want to comment real quick if I can, just from a little bit different perspective, more from the investor side. I'm sure most of not only am I the co-founder with Vu, but myself and some of my folks were really big investors in this. So this is something that a choice that we've come to after a lot of discussion, a lot of thought, a lot of outside discussion with some really great minds and smart people, and discussion with people who are invested a little bit in GoldMint and people who are invested a lot in GoldMint. And what became clear after significant discussion was that the best way that this was going to be the best pivot, the best change of direction in order to try to get our investors, our community, everybody who believes in us, the value that we feel they deserve, and not only to set it up with GoldMint and that current part of our ecosystem, but also provide a way in the future with Silvermint for people to be able to participate with their GoldMint tokens, and to potentially help to make up for some of the losses that may be incurred. I think it's really important that everybody know as well. We really believe, in particular, this could be a significant driving factor from the share token side. I'm not going to get into the details from the Silvermint angle, but for lack of a better term, it's going to be a shared share token. So it becomes more limited in its supply, and it becomes greater in its utility. So by incorporating this peg ratio change, as well as incorporating a plan that's going to help sustain the ecosystem and be ready for if there is ever a time when we go below peg, as well as incorporate this new token into our ecosystem that gives our current participants a way to possibly get back some of the potential losses. We really, and not only as a core team, but there was a lot of input from the investor standpoint on this. I hope everybody knows. And we really strongly felt that this was going to be our march forward. We also strongly felt, just so you all know, that GoldMint hasn't died. It is not dead. None of us thought about quitting, leaving, doing anything like that. So we feel that we've put a pretty clear path, or at least a set of goals in front of us, and we feel that these are realistic, and that we've learned from the past and understand where we are now too, and we really believe that we can make this better, and that's 100% our intentions with this, nothing less.
Yeah. Thank you for jumping in there. It was actually a great, to have it from that perspective. We can also open up. We'll be talking about Silvermint. That was a good segue to some of the Silvermint stuff and the Peg Health campaign. But we can do this a little bit out of order. If anyone does have any questions, too, you can feel free to, either raise your hand or put them in the AMA discussion. And we can address any specific questions on the Peg change plan and strategy. If there's any of those currently, I don't know if there's anything in there right now.
I think Sigil may be typing something. I know. I think it's going to be pretty good for us overall because, like as we said, this is like a long-term play, and we're all about not just immediately pumping out crazy prices or crazy APR and things like that. And so it really has been always like a long goal for us. Like we're not here for the short term or anything. We don't have like a month long of emissions. We have 2 years, so obviously we're never gonna not just gonna quit or give up. But definitely for I guess like in the world of DeFi, I guess like for me personally, I really came to realize like damn, like I really wanted to work on the one-to-one peg. I really do believe that could have been achieved and done, but at more of a long time frame. I feel like it would have taken longer than what people would have liked, and so I think it's a really smart idea for us to go this direction and kind of just skip past it and be able to continue to grow instead of having to have that slow growth.
And one thing I
Absolutely.
hope yeah, sorry, Vu. We all believe that we just have an amazing community in front of us. We really, our core team, and it's one of the things that we are the most thankful for. So, for everybody's here, and I see some of the comments in there, it gives us faith that what we can do, and knowing that all of you are behind us and doing. And I saw some comments in there about, how do we let the community or how do we let the world know about this? And that's exactly right. It's one of the things that we're going to get better on is that, hey, look, we've had all these changes. We have this great plan. We have this community. How do we let more people know about it? And how do we leverage some of our relationships within the crypto space? We have some amazing ones and some amazing partnerships. So we're going to be that is absolutely part of the plan, getting the word out. We just really wanted to address it with all of you first because without everybody here and everyone on our server and everything, like GoldMint's nothing. So you guys, everybody here is the first ones to hear it. And as Vu said, please ask questions. We figured there's going to be a lot here. So anything goes, you guys, please.
Yeah, well said. And I can try to preemptively answer. We did talk to the dev, and like no changes will need to be made to any of the token contracts. So like GoldMint itself won't need to be modified, or the share GoldMint token. It'll just have to do with that Oracle. The time frame is estimated to be quite quick. We'll probably spend more time testing the UI and making sure everything works right than we do actually making physical changes to the code. We're not changing any of the core aspects or the belief or the purpose of GoldMint. We're just kind of setting a more realistic expectation, for a price point in a seniorage protocol. And giving a healthy functioning system to our current participants, and also giving when we do get the word out, I'll tell you guys one thing we do have is we will have a couple YouTube videos coming out too. I did see Sigil's question there. And we'll have something for them to look forward to. When you see a protocol trying to seek a $1,700 price point, trading at the price of a gram of gold, between $50 and $60, it may lead to apprehension. But now we have a tough time in DeFi and a great idea. And we're going to be able to pitch not only a great idea, but that idea working and that system being robust, achieving its purpose. And then the follow-up of Silvermint and achieving the purpose of expanding that system. So it isn't just gold, but it's other things too, and where we can take that from there. So it's really about keeping a lively and healthy system that's producing yield, as intended. I can't wait to get started.
Yeah, yep. I do want to add too. It's been pretty quiet in the chat, and I know we've been working really hard in the background behind the scenes every day. There's not been a day that hasn't gone by. We haven't had a team meeting that has been pretty much everybody in the meeting. We used to, we've definitely seen that there's a problem where we got to fix, and we've definitely come forward. And as we said we would do, we're not leaving. We're here. We have some really good team members here. Everybody cares a lot about it. I was personally invested in it as well. As I said, I didn't sell one token. I just ate up everything else that happened because I believe in it. And, it wasn't a small investment either. And I know Doc had, some folks too as well. And we pretty much just kind of knew what was going on, and we just let it kind of unfold, and so we could kind of have a better idea of how we were going to go from here. And it took a little while to find out exactly how we could make this happen. Took a couple different devs as well to look into it. And we do have some very good partners and friends that are developers that helped out as much as they could the time they had. That was nice. So yeah, it hasn't been just us. We've had a lot of people help us as well. So it's been great.
Yep. Yeah, that's a really good point. I think the community probably, feels the same way. I think, they've, participated in this, and then to see finally those who, there's a lot of people who said, I held on. Was it worth it? Was it worth it? And it's great to kind of turn around and be able to say, yes, we're going to be able to, if you're holding your share GoldMint tokens and you've been holding on to them, that those are going to start printing now. Wait till you see how in demand these come. There's not a lot available, in LP, and the price impact will be high as they're scooped back up. So you'll be very happy that you held these tokens. So I think that was a big part of it, for us, was having that same feeling personally, as Cripsom described, but knowing that you guys had that feeling too. And so those of you that have held, and, for different reasons, people had to exit, it's always a great time to hop back in. But for the people who held, we're happy that they're going to start to see the value, deployed in each one of those tokens. And definitely don't forget, as Monkey mentioned in the announcement, the additional value of GoldMint in the upcoming Silvermint Genesis. That's going to be the most weighted part of the Silvermint Genesis. It's going to be all ecosystem tokens, but the GoldMint token is going to be treated as a huge part of that. So having that for ready and lined up for Silvermint is going to help get you some, just increased Genesis yield, that's a creation of a new token that you'll get to be a part of exclusively. So we're just happy to be able to start returning some value and some yield to our holders.
Yeah, no, it's fantastic. I think everything's kind of lining up together in a good way, that it's going to benefit everybody. Like, even us, like as a team, it's working out pretty good that we can continue to build and grow, because like all of the different things we've been having to work on and fix with like the UI and everything, like now we can actually take the time to really focus on utility and building out and growing more after all this comes out. So it's looking pretty positive for what's coming up next. I think everybody will be pretty excited for things that are coming out. But I wanted to answer a couple of questions. Actually, go talk about something Sigil said about how like a lot of other tomb forks are in the gutter and stuff. And like, yeah, 100%. We've definitely seen a lot of, I guess, bad actors and lots of, I guess, seniorage models like kind of going down or below peg in a way. But I don't know. I don't think it's really that unhealthy at all. I think it's really good for a lot of these protocols to get the bad actors out that are going to sell when the peg token is under peg. Like, you realistically don't want those type of people in the system, and I think it's good to kind of be under peg and shifting around a little bit. And I don't know, I think it's really good to see these different protocols still growing and doing what they're trying to do, and I think we'll see some more work, I guess, with them, maybe some partnerships and stuff, and kind of grow our, I guess, own little circle of like actual trust, I guess, and have people that we want to work with and continue to grow with as like different protocols and teams. So I think it'll be good to work with other communities specifically to grow out and figure out what the best solutions are for seniorage models. Because as we see, like, these different peg campaigns are being shared amongst protocols. Like, we're good friends with Nice Person, who runs AAA, Alto, Ames, and Equinox, and also really good friends with LB, who runs Grape. And we all kind of know each other in a good way. So it's a good way that we can bring the communities together. I think it'll be good.
100%. I want to touch a little bit too, not necessarily too heavy into this, but just so everybody knows, we are going to continue to stay somewhat conservative. We want to be able to deliver on things when we basically talk about them. So when you hear from us that something's going to be happening, then it's basically already together. Is what we're shooting for. So yeah, as things come out, we'll talk about them, and basically you can count that. If we're going to talk about them, then we already have verification that this can happen. We might have to do a little bit of digging on which way we go about it, but we have got some confirmation on peg change and that it is possible, and also that it's fairly. I think it's going to be fairly simple to implement. It's already being worked on. So.
Yeah, one of our main issues, I guess I'll touch and say, is with the peg change, like, directly, it's going to be our UI. That's one thing. I'm honestly thinking, like, we may not be able to actually find like every little thing. So there may be something when you're viewing the UI after the peg change, you may notice like something might not look right because of the new fractionalized, and so we'll obviously need to be notified of that. But it's kind of hard with there's so many little different functions and little calls and APIs within the UI that call from the Oracle and things, and the price. So we just got to make sure that that's all set straight.
Yeah, and I think, folks, if everybody understands small little things like that, that's manageable. We can handle that. Not a big deal. We just don't want to be telling everybody something's going to happen, and then months and months go down the road and something doesn't happen. And we hear everybody, we're done with all that stuff. Let's just make things happen from here on out. That's what we're working on. That's what we're doing.
Exactly. Like, very good point, Cripsom. Yeah, there's been lots of delays and things. We're going to work on that to try not to, I guess, give like any false promises or anything like that. Try and set everything on really good times and dates so that they are accordingly and set. A little bit hard sometimes with the devs, obviously, but our main dev has been doing a fantastic job in keeping us well informed of what's going on, and what everything, like, what's capable and what we can do and cannot do, especially with the different things that we're looking at implementing. So it's been going good. I wanted to answer Rambo's question really quick. Any plans to implement a trading bot similar to Horde? So right away, I'm going to answer no, but we were actually looking into it. I was looking into it, but the cost effectiveness for an Ethereum bot is a little bit iffy sometimes. It has to be a really well coded bot, especially with the gas, because I've seen it myself in some situations where a bot will get charged $100 in ETH gas because it was trying to front run that block, and it happened to pay $100 in gas for one transaction. So that's one of the main issues with Ethereum bots, and especially like something that's going to be constantly having to activate. So it is something that we're looking into, but I'm going to say it's not going to be around for the right away beginning of Silvermint, but it's something that we might be looking into to implement in the future. I have actually talked to another protocol that does offer a similar service. It is an LMS, but it's called something different, and it operates pretty much the exact same. It's just
we're very much into the concept, but we might not be able to implement it as a bot at first. But part of the purpose and the stated purpose of this taxes in the Silvermint system for anyone that sells right after they get their Genesis tokens and stuff is to be able to use it manually to do that support. Our DAO always, is able to use its resources for the betterment and health of the protocol. So we do plan on being able to take those actions and maintain that spirit, even if we don't have a physical bot running on one of our two protocols in the immediate future. But nothing's ruled out if we can find an effective way to do it. And we do talk to people and we do look.
Yeah, exactly.
Vu took the words. Sorry, Mike. Vu took the words out of my mouth. These are in-depth discussions that we've had, and what we've decided right now is that we're gonna implement that on a manual basis, right? And fortunately, we're able to do that without too much problems, and that solves the issues that monkey. So yeah, Rambo, absolutely, that type of thing is being addressed, and it will probably, as Vu and Monkey said, we will expand on that as growth dictates.
Perfect. Well, yeah, okay. I think that was a pretty good first little session. We can kind of jump into Silvermint a little bit and talk about kind of how that's going to benefit everything with what's coming out right now, if anybody wants to chime in or anything.
Yeah, I can take the lead, or you can take the lead on it if you want.
You can go ahead. I just talked for a little bit, so.
Yep, right on. So, just like Cripson brought up, what's become very important to us is we realized that we would get a little ambitious and try to get ahead, on our development, trying to rush the roadmap and some of those things, we couldn't get done as fast as we thought we could when we tried to speed them up too much. But what we are working on is exactly what we're talking about tonight. We are working on changing the peg for GoldMint. And the second thing that we're working on right now at the moment in real time is Silvermint. So Silvermint is a very important addition to the ecosystem because it allows us for the first time to call a peg price that is not based on another token. We haven't selected a PAX G of silver for Silvermint. We're going to try to integrate, I'm allowed to say we're working on integrating a Chainlink Oracle to be able to call that data. And by doing that, we really expand the concept that we set out to expand on. We said when we released GoldMint that it would really let us see what else could be done in the world by having Silvermint, and then we can start to look for other pegs in the future. It really takes this model that was first used just to pair to or peg to an L1 or an L2 or a stable coin or some type of token like that, and start to take this system and say, I can pair to anything I want to bring to the blockchain, I can represent with a seigniorage, algorithmically stabilized model. And that's that goal has always been essential to us. It's been a huge part of our mission. So as Silvermint comes out, we knew that we had a great advantage that we didn't have at GoldMint. And we talked earlier about how we had some Genesis sellers and we had a tough time at the launch of GoldMint, and that impacted the entirety of our time since we launched. And what we have is we have you guys. We have this community, and we have the GoldMint token. We don't have to offer a Genesis to anyone who happens to be out there in the world that has some USDC or has PAX G or doesn't mind swapping into it for a day or two because it's a safer, low volatility token. This is going to be able to be directed at you, to our already great and outstanding community who is stuck with us. So they're the people we know we can trust and that we want to be holders in this new system. So that was always the purpose of Silvermint. And then the spirit of Silvermint had to be, to kind of embrace the GoldMint tokens, embrace the GoldMint community, and make sure the rewards went that way. And sure, there will be some people who are buying GoldMint to get into Genesis or, buying the share tokens, to participate now in the mint that weren't there before. But that is also going to bring value to you guys because these guys have to buy from the open market, from the LP that you guys make and stake in the vaults. And that raises the value of those positions. So it's really been thought out in a robust way to build on top of GoldMint. I think we've covered some of that before, but I really wanted to get that message across because I think the first questions we got with Silvermint was will this hurt GoldMint? And the truth is no. Everything about it is meant to help GoldMint and to take care of the GoldMint community and participants and tokens themselves, from the top down. We did touch a little bit just a minute or two ago about the taxes. We are going to have a fading tax structure. So if there are some people who did get in at the beginning, and did just want to sell right from Genesis, that there would be extremely high taxes on those sales. And that'll kind of disincentivize them, from choosing to participate for that. If you want to get in on Genesis and sell the next day, the Silvermint Genesis isn't going to be the right choice for you. So we have that protection, and we're going to be able to use that, gains from those taxes for the people that do sell, like we said earlier, to help support that system in a, not LMS, but just in a healthy peg range, campaign that we're able to activate using those resources. And we'll still have the DAO's resources. And this is part of the reason for the same DAO. And I can, let Doc probably touch on this more than me, but the same share token and the same DAO mentality, because we don't just have the help of the taxation, but we have the full help of Doc and the DAO, to kind of back that Silvermint token as another part of the ecosystem so that it all works to support each other.
Yeah, absolutely, Vu. And I think that not only Silvermint, but it goes back to with our new peg ratio as well. What we agreed as a team, and what we're going to do better at is really using the DAO to support GoldMint in a way that we need to. And maybe it is almost like our own internal liquidity management system, like something like Rambo had said, or maybe it's hey, look, whenever we have the Silvermint Genesis, we're going to be able to get the DAO really a nice share of these tokens to be able to help our community keep control and to help be able to defend PEG and to have a bigger treasury to put to work for all of us, right? I think one of the things that Vu has hinted on, what he said here, was all of these things that we're doing are designed to try to help our current community members and current protocol token holders, right? And whether it's the new peg ratio or Silvermint, these are going to be things that give current GoldMint community participants really a significant advantage. So that's really what we hope about Silvermint. We hope whenever it launches that we put it in control of our community members who really have long-term vision, just like we do, which will help prevent some of the negative experiences that we had with GoldMint.
Yeah, excellent. Very well said. I think that's something I think we've hopefully gotten that point across, that's the purpose of almost every discussion we have. Cripson talks about our team meetings and stuff like that, and we try to think, well, is this going to hurt a certain type of participant, or is it going to help another type of participant more? We do have those robust conversations and go back and forth and agree and disagree, and try to always come up with the best answer for the overall health of the community.
Yep. No, I think it's been looking pretty good. I think everything's. I mean, I've said this before, but yeah, it's lining up very well with everything that's coming forward. I guess we can kind of talk about the NFTs and bond or nodes. That would kind of be the next little topic of conversation.
Yeah, if there's nothing left to add for Silvermint, or no specific questions on that.
Anybody wants to come up? Any questions? Anybody want to raise their hand? Have any questions you can come up on stage before we jump into that?
Well, start thinking of your questions, guys. I'll do a real quick NFT and nodes, because that's probably the easiest to touch on because we've talked about it before. So what were two of our biggest priorities before we had the immediate realization, to kind of have to make the peg change and to get Silvermint out there to also add that value, to the whole ecosystem? And that is the NFTs and the nodes. So fortunately, we do have the node repair contract. I've kind of been calling it in-house, pretty much ready to go. So that is going to get Bond GoldMint dropped into it to start dripping back out. to the participants in the same way you got the GoldMint. There's a couple issues that we're having right now. It's for people who weren't able to claim and should have been able to, but now that it's been too long since the bonds have been down and it's not allowing them, we may have to do a small manual airdrop for a couple participants of a small amount of GoldMint, and then they'll move into the bond GoldMint drip for the remainder, just kind of ironing out those couple technicalities. But yeah, so that's what's going to happen there is you're going to enter, essentially new node contract exactly the same as the other one with a nearly identical UI, and it's going to drip bond GoldMint out for the remainder of that, to get you guys rewarded there. And then the NFT staking as well. It is something that we think will be fairly easy to code. We had started looking into it a little bit, but with the, major peg issues and things like that, it seemed like that was something that we could not do all four things at once. So we kind of had to pick a direction. So that'll be coming out probably shortly after Silvermint. Then you might find, some cool new reward possibilities involved with that too. So those will be coming as well. We can take questions on anything from top to bottom there.
Yep. No, I was just thinking, it's the nodes and everything, and the NFTs we are 100% still focused on, definitely are making sure that everything gets corrected. It's always being looked at. I'm asking the dev every day, different things, what can we do here? What can we do here? But yeah, we really thought that focusing on these two initiatives first and then bringing that utility back would be the best route overall for, I guess, driving more value back and bringing more value back to the participants in the ecosystem. So, and as I said earlier, now after that, this is the time that we can actually start to buckle down and focus on, bringing a lot of utility to the ecosystem and completing our roadmap and doing what we want to do. There's so many different ideas that a lot of us all have on the team for ways that we can improve and add to the ecosystem. And we're learning from other protocols as well. So, I'm just excited for everything that's coming because it's slowly starting to get good.
Yeah, right on. It doesn't look like any more questions.
I'm gonna ask a question for all of us, because if I was, if I didn't know anybody, my first question would be okay, this is all great, but what happens if we lose peg again? What are we gonna do? I don't think we talked about that a lot on the AMA here, but we have discussed this extensively among our team. And going back to some of our partners and friends, we've seen some very successful, what we'll call return to peg and healthy peg campaigns be instituted. So without getting into all the nitty gritty details, I think it's important to know that we do have a plan for what we're going to be calling a healthy peg campaign, which will not only which won't be unique just to GoldMint. The idea is that we can use this within our whole ecosystem. So I think it's important that everybody know that we're trying to look into the future and address these things ahead of time as well.
Yes, especially, I'll touch on that too a little bit. It'll be, I want to say it's actually going to be slightly easier for us now to help maintain this and everything, because one of the things we really focused on towards the beginning was deepening and building our liquidity for GoldMint. But the issue is that we were still below peg. And so doing so, it was working out for the beginning and everything until we seen some large sellers. And that's where the issue came in. It started kind of draining our liquidity, and also right when we would get to peg, there were large sells. So it was a little bit frustrating, as you can all probably imagine, for us as well, finally getting there and then seeing those large sells. But now with a lower liquidity, we're going to see a lot less of that, I imagine, and it's going to be a lot more impactful for people to sell. And it's going to be a lot more opportunistic to buy instead. There's a little bit of shift, I guess, and for the LP, so there's not as much focus towards liquidity, I guess. Right now, we want to make sure everything kind of gets stable and then build LP, make sure we're at peg to build LP. So yeah, that's going to be a big change. I think it'll be a lot easier for us to kind of help maintain that, especially utilizing the DAO and with Doc. Kind of manually buying and selling and stuff like that. It should work out more in our favor now.
Yeah, I'm glad you guys added that.
Yeah, and look, guys, I want to preface this with saying this is by no means investment advice, but when you look at it from a certain perspective, if you believe in GoldMint and the ecosystem and what we're going to be doing, now is a great time to be in on share tokens or providing liquidity in the pools or getting ready for the change in the peg ratio. I can promise you this. We've thought about this a lot, and the idea is going to be whenever we do change this peg to ideally be above where where the prices we need to be. So now would be a good time to put accumulate share tokens rather than sell. And same thing. So what we're trying to do with this is decrease some sell pressure as well as put some buy pressure. And when we start to bring new people into our ecosystem as well. The great thing is, for those of you that are current participants, now is really a great time to set yourself up to try to be capitalize on this as much as possible, right? And that's what we hope and expect everybody to do. So it's important that all of you that have been here tonight, and you've heard this, that everybody get ready, be prepared. You have an alpha advantage on others because you know sort of what's in the mix. So I can tell you from an investor standpoint and from the DAO standpoint, I'm getting ready. So I would advise the same for everybody.
Yeah, no, it's fantastic. Actually, yeah, I think I believe now the system will be a lot more robust and efficient, and exactly what we were hoping to achieve at the very beginning. I guess like you'll obviously just have to see when it happens for a lot of people, but yeah, I believe this is a good switch around moment for us, and especially with what we can start to utilize, a little bit lower liquidity will be easier for us to bump up that price, and it's going to be like harder for people to sell. You're going to be taking more impact, so I mean, yeah, good overall.
Right on. That's a pretty good way to round it out. So yeah, those are our major focuses and what we've been working on behind the scenes. Hoping to keep pushing on what we're pushing on and kind of start to get the word out there about what we're doing. You'll see us be a little more lively in our discussions, not just inside the chat. We always have fun with you guys, but in some other places too, kind of getting the word out. That in the very near future here, GoldMint is going to be a healthy system at Peg, showing how yield can be produced on a gold backed or a gold peg token in DeFi, and we'll be showing the same thing with Silvermint, and we're excited to kind of expand it from there.
Yeah, and I think tying in with that too, we've said this before, but nothing has actually come of it yet. But we've had YouTube videos lined up and everything, and those are still lined up. We have just they've been delayed. We delayed them because of obviously everything happening and all the changes that we knew we were gonna make. So we decided that it just probably wasn't the right time as to advertise, a 1-to-1 peg when it was in our mind that we might be switching our peg and adding some silver mint and things like that. So it'll be a lot better time for us to kind of market a little bit. And since everything's already there and ready, we just have to get it working and going. Then we're pretty much lined up and set up for that. So you can probably expect to see like 2 or 3 YouTube videos coming out pretty shortly after all these changes, as well as like some AMAs and things as well. We'll kind of drive back the slow growth marketing and like keeping our voice out there in other servers and AMAs, junk like that, Twitter Spaces. So yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So feel free to get the word out yourselves as well. You can talk to your friends and let them know. But we'll be out there talking about it some more soon. Trying to think if there's anything else we got to add for this, or if there were any outstanding questions. But I think we just about got it.
I want to add one last final thing before we go. It's sort of on the theme of the last few months and all the shit that has gone down in this war, this industry that we're in. I can promise for myself and the 3 guys up here on stage that the one thing we're never going to do ever for our community, we're never going to cheat, we're never going to drop our bags, we're never going to dump on everybody, and we're not going to quit. We've seen so many things recently that are disgusting, in my opinion. So if nothing else, I hope everybody out there knows that we're going to be behind GoldMint, and We will always do so with honesty and integrity, and we will give you all everything we have, and we won't stop.
Yeah, that's a great closing, Doc.
Yeah, it very well needed, especially with everything that's been going on. Like a lot of different things happening, but 100%, we're in it to win it. You know, like we're here for the long term. Always said it, and it's always going to be like that.
100%. It's basically like you know you can look at it many ways. I look at it like a new beginning because there's been a lot of things that have kind of led to this, and it's a clean slate. Not necessarily clean, but cleaner slate. And essentially, I think of it like a fresh breath, a breath of fresh air, fresh start over. Because we're gonna have a nice start whenever we get into this peg change. It should be in line to do some very good things, and we have much better strategy if we ever just dip below. So I think we're in a better position.
Agreed.
Yep, I think that was good. Could probably close her out here. I think that's good closing remarks, I guess. And yeah, we'll be available next week probably for another AMA and keep everything updated on what's going on.
If you have any questions too that anybody just didn't want to ask in public or things like that, feel free to reach out to us. Anybody up here, we'll gladly we can talk private if that's more appropriate.
Awesome. Well, thanks everybody for coming
Thanks,
by,
guys.
and yeah, we'll see you hopefully next week.
Cheers.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate y'all.
Bye.